Hey there, Max here, and today we're going to be watching another Reggie video. This one is Aneurism IV. Burn bodies, steal laundry, become proletariat. I have actually seen this game. It looks very weird, and I can't even begin to fully understand what the whole point of it is, so let's go ahead and have Reggie explain it better for us, I say. If you enjoy this, please do leave a like. If not, leave a dislike. If there's anything you want me to react towards, please put it in the comments. And please do subscribe to help build up my following. And you follow along with me in anything I try to let's play or react to. Let's go ahead and get this going. Reggie, tell us all about Aneurism IV.
Aneurism IV, a game, a lifestyle, a cannibalism simulator. In this highly anticipated sequel to Crash Bandicoot, you play
I have doubts this has anything to do with Crash Bandicoot
as one of many citizens living in the dystopian police state known as Aneurism IV. This city has a colorful approach to politics, with strong similarities to late-war Nazi Germany, as well as both Soviet and Chinese communism, all wrapped up in an Orwellian hellscape where government-issue rations are highly medicated and
How lovely!
hair is illegal. To answer your question, it is as great as it sounds, because the entire thing is a 60-player online free-for-all with a very liberal interpretation of the social contract.
I have always been fascinated by any of these online games that allow people to kind of just do whatever within some sort of constraint of rules. I think the closest I could kind of think of that kind of matches this is the Isle, except you're all dinosaurs and nobody can really talk to each other properly or things. This is, okay, not like the Isle, but this has got its own similar set where everybody's doing their own thing, following their own rules, and trying to make it in this weird, scary, dystopian world.
In case you're wondering what your average day might look like, I'll walk you through it. The game begins, and I have terrible news. You're alive. You spawned in.
I love how it starts with the entering nightmare.
As a member of the proletariat, and fittingly, your name is likely some variation of greasy laborer or unskilled wagey. You are a cog in the machine, so get to work. Head to the government-owned laundromat for menial labor. The washing machines are full of dead bodies. All of them.
Oh, dear.
Decide to find a new job. Walking down the street, you witness a police officer gun a man down in broad daylight before producing a pickaxe
I don't think they should be doing that.
and mining his body for organic matter. The officer stares into your eyes and says calmly and almost mechanically,
"Welcome to Aneurism IV."
before he has a chance to excavate
Oh, so it's basically going into New York.
your skeleton, the sound of air raid sirens envelop the city. It's time to go to war. You head to the munitions factory to do your part in the war effort, building somewhere between 20 to 30 warheads, while getting bombarded by enemy airstrikes. An artillery shell tears through the ceiling, and you witness 11 people get ripped apart in the blast. The carnage is incalculable.
I know that's supposed to be one of the best ways of making money in the series, but I do wonder what really happens with everything that you make with those.
Even worse, all of the survivors pulled out knives and started stripping the bodies for their meat. Dear God, what have I witnessed? You promptly go...
Oh, yeah. I know that is a game. That's a thing that gets said a lot in this game.
Go insane and spend the next 20 minutes hallucinating. Eventually, it all becomes too much for you to bear, so you jump headfirst into an industrial incinerator and die. Life in Aneurism IV is just that simple.
You know, in a game like this, I'm beginning to wonder, is there really that much of a negative to sanity?
Face of this nightmarish reality, you could be forgiven for assuming Aneurism IV to be a work of fiction, but it's actually based on the lived experience of the French-Canadian developers based out of Montreal.
Oh, well, yeah, that makes more sense.
This game is a bit too unpredictable for one of my normal videos, so instead I'm going to swirl it around in my mouth like a fine wine.
Oh, dear God. Not the other way, Dev.
Reviewing every element of the gameplay while sharing some of my best and worst experiences. But before we can assess the practicality of taking methadone and eating people's organs, I have to tell you something. 4.5 years ago, I died in a tragic skydiving accident.
Here comes the ads.
Long story short,
We'll leave it up. They're usually more entertaining.
With about 50 collectible Funko Pops, which resulted
Oh, God, Funko Pops. Who remembers those?
in what
Are they still really around?
medical examiner described as an uncontrolled descent. This was an unfortunate outcome, but luckily I was prepared. I had left careful instructions that in the event of my death, I should be medically embalmed with GamerSupps energy supplements. After the coroner juiced me up with 5,500
Hey, Googa Foods, I got an idea for you.
cc's of inflationist-flavored energy powder, I rose
Oh,
from
dear
the
God.
grave like a revenant of horniness, and I've been making videos ever since. Now listen, I'm not claiming that GamerSupps will give you the power of self-resurrection, but it might. Point is, it's delicious and
I doubt.
makes my brain go. So go ahead and buy some. Jump out
I've never had GamerSupps. You really think I should get some at some point?
of a plane, lead a cult, blow up the moon, I don't care. Just remember to use code Reggie for 10% off. Now back to the video.
I'll keep
Aneurism
that in mind
IV
next
is a
time I actually care
complex
about getting that.
ecosystem of sociopaths, opportunists, and victims of sociopaths and opportunists,
So, gamers,
which all roughly work together to create a quasi-functioning society with bankers, vendors, doctors, street cleaners, and a police force. The power dynamic is as follows. The city streets are controlled by the government, which is the ultra-violent and authoritarian cortex. As a citizen, you are compelled to contribute to the cortex through manual labor, because if you don't, this guy's going to shoot you in the head. It's not perfect, but
to be fair, they only do that if you are carrying contraband. But this game, when I played it a long time ago, I was having a hard time really getting into it. And you can't stream this game because all the people are insane and will start shouting the N-word if they even suspect you of streaming. They will ruin your day.
be lying if I said it wasn't kind of charming. The only other faction in the game is the Scum. The Scum is an anti-establishment cult that operates out of a complex sewer system beneath the city. Its class structure is comparatively simple. You are either a scumbag or a religious zealot. But really, those are
And your goal is to destroy the server.
both just fancy words for domestic terrorist. The Scum and Cortex vie for control of the city in a perpetual struggle between order and chaos. The Cortex strives to find new and exciting ways to deprive us of human rights, while the Scum attempts to destroy the city by deploying biological weapons and sabotaging public infrastructure. It is a rare and brave decision to make the only two factions in your game this irredeemable, and I respect it immensely. The only
The IED, apparently the most dangerous weapon in the game.
thing about this game that I don't respect immensely is the netcode. If your server has more than
Ooh, yeah.
35 people in it, things start to get very strange and a little frightening. And if you go all the way up to 60 players, the molecules in your body may as well be quantum entangled with a dumpster on the other side of the map, because you will be teleporting there. That
I hope they made some updates to this game since this movie came out. Movie? Video. You know what I mean.
being said, I recommend 20 to 30 players as the sweet spot, but I digress. Your experience in Aneurism IV is informed greatly by your class, which can be selected using your accumulated social credit to inhabit different bodies, but we all start off as proles, so we'll begin there. The prole is a filthy and uneducated creature of socialism, with one purpose and one purpose alone: hard labor. You must work in the factories, you must supply the cortex with goods, and you must remain discreet and productive. You must do these things because as a prole, you are the ultimate victim of circumstance. You have no recourse because you have no thing. I'll give you an example. My first day as a prole involved me getting lost on my way to the laundromat and accidentally wandering down some tunnels. The further I descended, the darker it
yes.
became, and before long, I had lost track of the exit. I struggled in the dark.
Your first thing you want to do to get some proper advancement around the world is get a flashlight, because then you can actually see where you're going in a lot of places. There's a lot of nooks and crannies of the whole place that you can only get to if you either know where everything is, or you have a flashlight to actually see where you're going.
Darkness for about 10 minutes before
I never got that far.
resigning myself to starvation, until I saw it in the distance. A man was approaching me with a flashlight. I begged him to guide me out of the tunnels. He stared at me in complete silence before dropping to his knees and sucking me off.
Oh, dear
This went
God.
on for about 30 seconds until he got up and led me to the exit. In this interaction, I was completely powerless. All I could do was moan gaily and wait for it to be over. I tell you this to highlight the importance of my next tip. The first thing you want to do as a prole is go to the metalworks and get an iron pipe. Your chance of being filleted by another man in an underground tunnel is
Oh, dear
never
God.
zero. But with this, it's pretty
That's destiny.
close. Now listen, I'm going to be blunt. Every day that you exist, you accumulate a government debt for being alive. And before you ask, no, this isn't some kind of income tax. I don't have an income. All I've done so far is take amphetamines and beat people to death at the metalworks. Point is, we need to get a job before this debt piles up. Fortunately, there's a few options. You could work at the laundromat, washing and drying clothes. The iron pipe you got earlier is going to come in handy, because laundry thieves are a pervasive problem, and knocking their brains
Thieves in general are a big problem.
out with a pipe is the only solution. All in all,
Oh,
laundry is
there's a prank that I know that people like to play against. So the way that this works, you have to press these buttons on here in order to like perform the actions. When people are folding laundry so they can submit it for cash, some people will throw a poison pill bottle right in front of you so that way when you press the first action that comes up on it, it is to eat it. It is an instant kill. And basically, yeah, that's how people will kill you on that sneakily.
pretty simple. Just remember, never stop the drying.
Oh, yeah. I don't know why that's a thing, but yeah, that's a thing,
Folded
too.
clothes will award you financial compensation and social credit that can be used to change classes. Finally, as a society, we can quantify the value of human life in terms of units of folded laundry. Personally, I'm convinced that this entire place is a psyop to increase the sales of insanity medication, because the amount of social credit
Like, people actually need more incentive to get those.
you receive for working here appears to be completely RNG, and something like that takes my mind to a very dark place. I had to kill a man and get cavity searched by the police 9 times
Oh,
just
dear.
to finish my wash cycle. And you're telling me I'm not doing my part? I quit. Other jobs include the ironworks, where you mine, smelt, and process ore into various industrial components for the cortex. But don't stop there. Get some friends and stage a hostile takeover of the mines.
You're done. You're done.
Kill anyone that doesn't pay tribute to the coal syndicate.
Oh, you're actually like.
Oh, you
The
think you
problem is, though, if nobody gets the resources to spend money on, then they can't pay you in order to get more resources.
can escape? No, we've got someone waiting for you at the exit, and chasing you around made us pretty hungry. So now we're going to have to cannibalize you. Maybe killing people in a strip mine isn't your vibe. There's always the ration factory.
Ah,
Modern
yes.
Society uses a series of
The ration factory.
contrivances to weed out the intellectually stunted. Aneurism IV uses the ration factory,
Mine the pit.
where you solve math problems at work terminals and get painfully electrocuted for every wrong answer. There are several
And for whatever reason, you lose the ammonosites. I can never pronounce the dang word. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of random things you can do to try and make your money, and lots of consequences for every
other jobs available as a prole, and many of them can result in your immediate death. But I'll let you figure that out on your own. After all,
Just like real life, you work hard to try to get little scraps, and at any moment you can die.
that you've probably worked up quite an appetite, so allow me to introduce you to the ration cycle. This is a 15-minute citywide event where the government hands out free food. If you thought the laundromat
And it's completely random whenever it activates.
was crazy, just wait until you see the entire server pile into the cafeteria on ration day. In the chaos, it is not uncommon to see people burned alive for cutting the line, because in this world, the greatest crime you can commit is stealing another man's slop. There is no knife sharp enough, no pit deep enough, and no incinerator hot enough to properly punish the ration thieves. But we're doing our best. The rations will take care of your hunger, but for thirst, I recommend the public fountains. There is a 50% chance you contract intestinal worms, and I know that sounds like a bad thing, but once you have the worms, that just means you don't have to worry about getting them anymore. So drink as
Fair.
much as you want. The final stat to take care of is your insanity. I know watching
Worms are super annoying, but you can feel pretty darn lucky when you take a drink and not get them.
the police gun down those ration thieves was quite fun, but it also gave you schizophrenia. For this, the treatment is quite simple. Go to the club and let the dulcet tones of Slavic folk music gradually restore your sanity.
Why that works, I have no idea, but it does.
Going to a completely empty club isn't something I'd normally recommend to an insane man dying of stomach worms, but it works. That concludes your survival routine, but what does it feel like to be a prole living in Aneurism IV? Hypothesis. Aneurism IV isn't perfect, but it is rich in culture. Counterpoint.
Rich in
Get me out
culture.
of this godforsaken hellhole. I spend every night rummaging through dumpsters in hopes that I can find enough bottles of glue to end my life. And every day
I didn't know that was a thing.
wake up back at the laundromat. As a prole, your value to society comes from your capacity to endure hardship for the greater good of the state.
The greater good.
I'll give you an example. Every so often, a random wartime event starts, where the entire server is compelled to make bombs for the Cortex. When this happens, your already worthless life somehow becomes even more expendable. I once witnessed a man lit on fire for not meeting productivity quotas, and rather than extinguishing him, the doctors just prescribed him methadone so he could work through the pain. You might think that after after his charred corpse was dragged away for
He had some very lovely doctors in that server. My goodness.
he could finally rest, but you'd be wrong, because it's not uncommon for the police to prop up our corpses against the workbench in hopes that they may yet be able to extract some waning vestiges of labor from our cold, dead bodies. Even in death, we toil.
Oh dear God.
These are the conditions that radicalize a man. So when I tell you that despite making up only 20% of the server, proles are responsible for 90% of the crime, you will respond, only 90%? As a prole, you are paradoxically the most dangerous and least dangerous class for the exact same reason.
You know, that's kind of like real life, isn't it?
You have nothing, and we need to use that to our advantage. I once witnessed a cop gun down a prole in the streets. In response, about a dozen of us formed a posse and chased him across town until he ran out of breath and had to start mowing us down. We knew that we could never kill him, but we could absolutely destroy his social credit, and that's even better. Despite that example, I will admit that mass RDMing is actually fairly uncommon. I could tell you it's because of a
I can't believe how much RDMing, or running down mid, has become such a colloquialism these days.
public veneration of the social contract, a profound sense of community and respect. But that would be a lie. The only thing stopping that cop from blowing a hole in your chest is this. The slave
Or is that random deathmatch? I don't know.
is what becomes of you if your social credit drops too low. They take your goddamn feet. Then they drill a cheese grater to your face and force you to push boulders into a giant furnace to repay your debt to society.
So for kicks, I did that on purpose once. It's not fun to do it. But there is an upside if you ever actually do it.
Kill the guy without provocation? Yeah, that's gonna be 5 boulders. Destroyed the entire server with a rot bomb? Find a new server. Finally repaid your debt? Very nice. Now there's only one more thing to go in the furnace.
Yourself.
I'm just gonna
Because you're not the actual person there. You're like a soul or something that actually goes to the other places. And what?
say it. This is peak game design. There are reports of slaves escaping captivity and roaming the streets, but they never get very far. In conclusion, please stop killing me. I'm trying to do laundry. Now let's move on to the next class. The
All I'm gonna say, vomit coffin. If you know, you know.
Doctor. The Doctor is the cheapest class to access and the easiest in the game. Your primary role is to heal people by giving them transfusions of your blood, which damages you in the process. Luckily, you're the only
I wonder if you can actually kill yourself giving too much blood.
class that actually regenerates health, and you do it very effectively. Given this, your economic success in Aneurism IV depends entirely on your willingness to play a zero nourishment, zero thirst, zero sanity doctor build, because your regeneration makes it practically impossible to die. But if you're in more of a rush, I recommend committing healthcare fraud. If you assemble 3 doctors and beat one of them half to death, you can initiate a 2 or 3 minute long blood swapping program, which should earn you plenty of money and social credit. Aneurism
You would think they would have patched that particular thing out by
tells
now.
us that the doctor is the one who does no harm. But that's debatable, since I just paid this man 20 credits to go around stabbing people to stimulate my healthcare business.
To be fair, it's not him who did the harm, per se.
So you get 2 apps, and you get 2.
On the topic of business, I'll give you a heads up. These people, and this might surprise you, don't believe in paying for healthcare. In fact, I've witnessed doctors beaten in the streets for even suggesting a 15% gratuity. I've tried to establish a private healthcare system.
Learn to
but
tip
the only
out your-
compensation I ever received was from this enforcer who gave me half a dozen live rats. I think I'm going to cry. Handfuls of live rats actually brings us to your other duty as a doctor, producing medicine. Down at the pharmacility, you can use such exciting and sanitary ingredients as dumpster rat, odd glue, and stale kielbasa to produce a variety of medicines for the public.
Yeah, about these particular machines.
This is an approximate
Let's just say they're temperamental.
science, in the sense that I am approximately responsible when my attempts to synthesize sodium metal result in the death of my coworkers.
There it is.
As a doctor, I don't usually kill people by accident. I usually do it on purpose. For example, I found out the vending machines sell a product called Suisoda, which is literally
Ah, there it is.
just carbonated cyanide. So obviously, I bought several of these and started leaving them at the laundromats. Almost invariably, a prole would wander in, say something to the effect of,
I wonder what this could do if I drink it.
and then die on the spot. I don't feel bad about this, because I'm
And then you have no repercussions whatsoever against you because you just left the thing out on the counter. They're the ones who drank it.
harvesting their meat and turning it into medicine at the pharmacy. The only reason this server has antipsychotic medication is because I'm willing to murder proles and process them through a meat grinder. You can thank me later. All in all, being a doctor is very very fun, except when you're a doctor at the wartime factory.
Ooh, yeah. That's gonna be a very, very tight space to be in.
When a bomb malfunctions and mortally wounds 35 proles, you will fear for your life. I have personally witnessed several doctors drop dead after transfusing a prole with the final drop of blood
Oh dear, so you can die, oh no.
in their body. And if you refuse to do this, you'll probably just get shanked with a screwdriver and die anyway. If you survive a shift in the factory, you'll live with the mental scars for the rest of your life. I can still hear them screaming my name. Doc, please help. Enforcer Bussy got me acting up. Think I'm but a bust, were the last words of dozens of proles as I helplessly
not gonna-
watched them bleed out at
You would think the most efficient thing to do would try to heal the bleeders first.
my feet. In conclusion, the Doctor is a good class for bad players. On to the next occupation, the Liquidator. This class does 3 things. It incinerates dead bodies, incinerates live bodies, and maintains the public infrastructure. Unironically, this might be the most important job in the game, and I'll use an example to explain why.
No liquidators, the servers will eventually die just on its own.
Imagine you're a moderator in my Discord server. With each passing day, the
Oh dear God, where do you find this shit, Reggie?
messages get more deranged than the last. It's your job to delete anything that breaks TOS, and if you fail to keep degeneracy levels below a predetermined amount, then Discord staff will send a KGB agent to strangle me to death in my sleep. That's pretty much what the Liquidator does, except instead of deleting furry inflationist OCs, they dispose of dead bodies to keep the city from physically rotting. And
Are we sure this guy's not related to Seth Sintach in any way?
instead of me getting asphyxiated by an Eastern European man, they're trying to avoid the end of the world. Because if the rot level reaches 100%, it's all over. Fresh wipe, let's go to customs. So disposing of rotting bodies in the industrial incinerator is absolutely paramount. The primary threat to the Liquidator is being pushed into the industrial incinerator by a random prole. This happens all the time and is usually foreshadowed by something along the lines of,
Excuse me, there's like a thing stuck in the furnace.
Uh-huh, yeah. That's like going into an Arc Raider match and saying, hey, my friend's stuck inside of this little door.
if you hear someone say this to you, consider it a direct threat and violation of the non-aggression pact. At which point, I recommend killing them while the police watch on in approval. These cretins tend to work in pairs, so be prepared to also incinerate his friend after he attacks you with a pipe.
Oh,
Noteworthy
Jesus.
events for the Liquidator include every event, because they all result in massive casualties. Wartime factory? Yeah, we just pile the skeletons out front. Ration cycle? More like recycle, as I throw you into a furnace. Probably the best event is the Purge. Every so often, the
There it
city living
is.
underground will perform this ritual which turns the city red and legalizes all crime for about 15 minutes.
Oh, that period is a nut house. Oh, let me tell you.
Cops can
Although, surprisingly, when I played it, everyone was surprisingly peaceful. No one wanted to kill each other. I guess it's just one of those times everyone felt a little fair.
gun down as many people as they need to get an erection. Proles can steal as much as they want, and you should probably hide. The premise of this event is that the scum are basically testing the strength of our social fabric. Now listen,
You know, that is actually a fair way of describing that.
I've labored in the factories. I understand the camaraderie and unity that is forged through hard work.
I wonder if you can do a purge during a war event. Oh god, imagine they did that, and then everybody's already grouped together in the war room full of explosives. Oh my god, that's a terrifying time.
I want to believe that our citizens can be trusted to navigate this event peacefully, but that's just not realistic. In fact, I just witnessed a police officer gunning down an entire dumpster full of people. Cortex apologists will call this an isolated incident, but I assure you, it is not.
Please, let me work. I can work. Please, I can work.
Maybe, just maybe, we as a society
Be work or be fuel.
aren't yet ready for free will. That being said, this is a very profitable event for the Liquidator, so get to work, Janny. Speaking of profit, that brings us to the next class, the Banker. In the Aneurism IV Venn diagram, the Banker exists in this region. Your role is to conduct business transactions and try not to get killed in the process.
Oh, the banker! Kill the banker! Take his money!
For example, I go on the dark net
I would imagine a banker is not exactly a safe role.
and order 15 illegal hot dogs, which I then sell to the police force for double the price. Everything you order is stashed somewhere around the city, waiting to be picked up. And let me tell you, there is no greater stress than trying to make sure you're not being followed as you head to retrieve 60 kilograms of delicious gabagool that was hidden under the
Gabagool.
docks. Also, the Banker is the only class in the game which has a built-in voice modulator that makes you sound like a young young Jewish boy.
I literally can't go any lower than 30 credits.
What did the developers mean by this? Apart from supplying people with food and materials, the banker is also responsible for handling credit transfers. Simply put, everyone in Aneurism IV has social credit. This is not lost between deaths. However, they also have financial credits. These are lost between deaths unless you deposit them with a banker, because your bank account will carry over across lives.
Unless that banker goes away.
Doesn't matter which banker you use, it's all the same system. And as a banker, I get to decide what fees I want to charge for accepting
I mean, unless all the bankers die, I should say.
your deposit or withdrawal. Long story short, you're a mobilized ATM, and a very important part of your server progressing long term. However, due to recent events, there's a lot of anti-corporate sentiment in the world, and bankers have a pretty bad reputation.
When I get you, when I find you, buddy, 1863. Oh, remember that.
Proles in specific.
Oh, that's right. Everybody has a number, and that's how you can recognize who a person is when they come back between lives.
Seem to enjoy killing us for sport. I once witnessed a gang of proles dedicate an entire afternoon to chasing a banker through the streets, and when they got him, it wasn't pretty. I'm not sure if it's the stronger blue-collar vibes or the fact that they're giving out free pipes, but personally, I always get the shit kicked out of me if I ever go near the metalworks. If you want to minimize
The metalworks is a very scary place to be at, trust me.
the amount of times a pickaxe sails through the back of your head, you could
Ooh.
always reduce your banking fees, but then I'd have to kill you myself. You see, on my main server, I established a cabal of bankers who all agreed to price fix our rates at 5%.
That's a lot of bankers.
No higher, no lower. So you could imagine my surprise when I heard rumors of a rogue banker offering 0% banking fees. After learning about this, I met with my associates, and needless to say, that guy was never seen again. People think the banker is about making money, but it's not. It's about making good impressions and then making money. Because if people don't like you, your life expectancy will be shorter than a thirsty prole at a laundromat. The uncivilized prole fears the self-sufficient capitalist, because we can become something which they cannot, financially wealthy. This makes the banker the best class to own property with. In Aneurism IV, there are several pieces of property that you can lease, ranging from apartments to storefronts and even a casino. You can fill most of these with items to sell to the public, and if you're in a good location, it's basically a license to print money. Speaking of printing money, I also literally print
You can even make homes, and for whatever reason, I guess you can make things in your toilet.
money. By gathering a variety of machine parts and suspicious meat, I was able to craft several Capatrons. These are
Oh, these things. I got
available to the banker, and if you're caught with one, the police will not hesitate to put you down. So you better have a good place to hide it. These satanic electronics require a constant supply of food, and if you keep them well fed, they'll give you lots of money. At first, you can probably get away with feeding them dead proles from the laundromat, but as their hunger grows, you'll quickly find yourself shoveling fistfuls of hot dogs into these demonic VCRs.
Doesn't sound like they're very safe.
I have a mental fixation on min-maxing business management minigames, and I might have gone too far with the banker, because I spent an
I really should play the Yakuza games.
entire week grinding credits and
Oh my.
purchasing people's leases out from under them, and now I own half the city. My first order of business was to corner the market on intestinal worm medication. You can get these pills from the pharmacility for about 9 credits, unless you're on my server, because I bought the entire supply and relisted it at my stores with a 250% markup. In
Dang, I hope no one needs that stuff.
society's war against intestinal worms, I am on the side of the worms.
Oh, that's expensive.
Also, I got bored of selling people normal food, so instead of feeding them gabagool, the entire server is now surviving on a healthy diet of my homemade cigarette soup and carcinogenic slop. You'd think they wouldn't buy this, but they do. And as a businessman, this feels spiritually enriching. Once you achieve server-wide monopoly, you'll have a lot of free time on your hands, so go ahead and have some fun. Sometimes I like to leave the door open on one of my shops and wait for someone to sneak in, before quickly closing and locking the door behind them.
Oh, that's diabolical.
Then I just wait for them to realize they can't get out. Sometimes I'll even push a dead body through the storefront to make them panic before closing the shutters. They stare
That is evil.
at me through the gate, and I stare back at them as they quietly realize how I got that body. In
Oh,
all honesty,
no.
I'm not actually sure where the body came from. Sometimes I do starve people to death in my shops, but other times disgruntled proles just stuff rotting bodies through my storefront to protest my exorbitant prices. Joke's on them though, because I just sell the corpses back to the liquidators for a profit. This type of high-level capitalism requires a very strong alliance with the police force.
I would imagine so, because they have to make sure, you have to make sure they don't want to kill you.
So I recommend treating them very well in return for their continued protection. Every time there's a police shooting at the ration factory, they drop off the bodies to me, and my Capatrons eat well. Now that you've got
I am surprised you can actually convince people to do anything.
an ungodly amount of money, you might want to invest it. And in Aneurism IV, the safest way to invest your money is through a man living on the other side of a ventilation grate. I don't know who it
The scums and such.
is, but I do know he's reliable, because he has been reliably purchasing drugs from me for the past week. Now, in terms of events, the only one that really matters to the banker is payday, when everyone rushes to the government pay terminals to receive their money. As a banker, you don't receive a salary, you get something even better, everyone else's. In conclusion,
That's true. That's very
banker,
fair.
best class in the game. Spend all day grinding real estate, getting called racial slurs, and being assassinated in the street. 10 out of 10 realism. Now let's move on to the last Cortex class, the cops. They say it's easy to hate the rich, but it requires real courage to hate the poor. By this metric, I can deductively reason that the police are the most courageous people in the server. As a cop, you have several responsibilities, including patrolling the streets, confiscating contraband, maintaining social stability, and executing limitation orders. What's a
limitation
order, I hear
orders.
you ask? Well, let's assume you're a prole, and you just decided to beat
That basically means you're screwed. That's what it
three
means.
bankers to death for the crime of not being as poor as you. And you did it all on camera. In response, the Cortex is going to order a
See, the biggest crime is not exactly doing it, but doing it in front of the eyes.
limitation to your bloodline, starting with you. Once you're marked for limitation, the police will be paid to hunt you down. And if a camera spots you, it'll relay your position to the cops. So it's just a matter of time. Your experience as a cop is
Let's just say there's no such thing as prison time in this game. It's immediate execution.
binary. If you're on a low pop server, it's going to be pretty boring and you'll finish like 600 patrols. If you're on a high pop server, you'll never even touch a patrol because the amount of psychopaths you run into scales exponentially with server population. Under these circumstances, maintaining social order during the ration cycle
And I don't think that you actually have ammo.
becomes borderline impossible.
I think
And
it's
in most
all
cases,
limited-
you'll
unlimited.
be outnumbered 10 to 1. So I highly recommend working in teams. Cooperatively, we can oppress far more civilians than we could have otherwise. This
Oh, dear
is the
Lord, what-
concept of
what are we watching
assault
there?
Police brutality, and you need to learn it well.
He's running, kill him!
An important part of optimizing your state terrorism is understanding the community you serve, learning their likes and dislikes. For example, why does this prole call me a racial slur every
Oh,
time
dear
I
Lord.
beat him with a nightstick? I need to understand. A good way to get a sense of your community is by going to the
Reggie, that kills people!
City Bulletin Board. When I first saw this, I read a few posts and thought, wow, this is so cool. I wonder if these are all
Oh, yeah, they have these notice boards that you can put literally anything up you want.
pre-generated or if they're player-made.
Anything.
And then I read a few more. Definitely player-made. In fact, 90% of the posts are just sexual analogy and terrorist threats. My conclusion from this research is that proles don't really like anyone, but they especially don't like the police. And in a game
Well, to be fair, who doesn't?
that has no report feature, I must be prepared for my fellow citizens to tell me to kill myself on a consistent 15-minute basis. I tell myself it's not personal. They don't actually hate me, but I know that's not true. Because when I get bored, I like to plant contraband in the wartime factory and wait for a prole to pick it up. Then I chase them down the street, search them, find the illegal items I planted, and kill them for social credit. The Stanford
Oh,
prison
gotta love these evil things.
could not have prepared us for the antisocial tendencies you will develop as a cop.
Also, the Stanford Prison experiment was a messed up situation.
I once saw a cop walking down the street. He said audibly, "Damn, I'm getting pretty hungry."
Does anybody else, when you hear that, think of the Arthur song?
At which point he approached a random prole, shot him in the face 8 times, and then began trying to harvest his meat with a police baton.
I'm so hungry. I just want to eat him. I just want to eat him so bad.
That type of stuff is so normal, it's almost not even worth mentioning.
I think if you're going to harvest meat, you need something that has a blade on it, and so the baton, that was actually a waste.
Interesting events for the police include the Purge. If you have a
Oh, yeah, that is a very interesting
high
time.
concentration of other officers, this will be pretty fun. But if there's only 2 or 3 of you, you should be afraid. The proles aren't thinking about killing you. They've already decided that they will. Now they're just thinking about whether to use knives or pickaxes. Now all of that constitutes like 60% of your job job as a cop. The other 40% is fighting the scum. They live underground in these tunnels and emerge periodically to stage terror attacks and disrupt your beautiful utopia.
And if you're a scum, you are always on limit mode.
It is your job to organize police raids and suppress their presence at all costs. Normally, this isn't too difficult because they're all insane and their guns are made of Elmer's glue and logs of shit. But on occasion,
Pretty sure they've done updates to change that a little bit more.
they will get the better of you. One time, me and the boys managed to plant a double agent in the scum cult, and we let
Ooh.
all of us into their base for a massive raid. However, after wandering around, we realized that no one was here. Turns out the scum had someone on the police force leaking them information. And
Oh, that's a fun server.
they knew we were coming. As we were leaving the tunnels, they were waiting for us, and I got a full shotgun blast to the face.
Ooh.
Not enjoy this ending to
Oh, that's nasty.
Departed. Without proper vigilance, the scum will gain the upper hand and start to overpower the Cortex. And let me tell you, being the last police officer left on a
There's actually a background system that sort of leads this to end up happening at some point.
server overrun with cultists is the truest form of survival horror. That being said, banding together with liquidators and slowly restoring the city back to working order while the citizens cheer you on is actually very fulfilling, and I highly recommend it. To summarize, playing the police is pretty fun, and exceptionally fun if you're willing to do some light role-playing.
Nothing personal. You're just unskilled, unlabored. You don't have a degree or anything. You're an unskilled cog.
You never amount to anything. You're unskilled, you're uneducated, you got nothing. You're unskilled, you're nothing. You're never.
They are just taunting him to try and strike out an attack so they can kill him.
You suck. Just kill yourself. All of my homies hate this.
Aww. Aww.
That concludes all of the jobs and mechanics for the Cortex classes. So now we can take a look at what it's like to be scum.
Oh yeah, scum
My
time.
first interaction with scum was when a filthy man emerged from a sewer drainage pipe and asked me to throw him some food.
Up here in the tube.
I saw no reason to
How the heck did you get up there?
distrust
Also, I don't think that guy's a scum.
this man. So we tried to toss him a chunk of meat, but some prole dickhead intercepted the food, ate it, and called the tube man a false idol.
He's a false idol.
Obviously, the prole had to die. We chased him down, killed him, and worked together to feed his body to the tube man, who
Oh my
gladly
God.
accepted and screamed out in ecstasy.
Yes, the false idol.
Turns out that guy wasn't even scum, just a very weird prole living in a sewage pipe. But I really liked his stuff.
I don't even know how you get up there.
Bring me more corpses.
My first real interaction with the scum was when I was manufacturing explosives. In the middle of my shift, a scumbag broke into the factory and
Ooh, that's always a scary thing because if a scumbag can get a bomb in there, boom, that would be such a horrible moment for everybody because everybody dies. And if you die with negative amnesites, well, then that's when you go into slave mode.
went on a 25 prole killing spree. He also brought a doctor with him, who spent the entire time shredding an electric guitar and laughing maniacally. At first, I was interested, but now I'm sold. Time to roll scum. The scum is a deeply ironic rebel faction because there's a social credit requirement to join it. And
Which is, that's just silly to me that you actually do need the amnesites in order to go into the bad side of things too, just as much as you need to be a cop.
once you get down in these tunnels, you quickly realize the anti-establishment doomsday cult is actually way more communist than the communist state that it's trying to overthrow. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's start with the basics. You spawn in as a scumbag. You've got a knife, a lighter, and a warrant out for your arrest.
Yep.
Fortunately, you're relatively safe in these underground tunnels, which
Sure.
gives you plenty of time to gather resources and work with other scum to plot attacks against the Cortex. If you're on a good scum server, you'll probably have about a dozen teammates and all of your resources will be communal, which is very important. Because let me tell you, there's nothing worse than playing by yourself, spending 40 minutes sifting through literal feces to find gun parts, and then finally traveling to the top side only to get limited almost immediately. So do yourself a favor and cooperate with other terrorists.
Yeah, you pretty much have to work together to get anywhere as a scum because, well, if you go upstairs, you're dead.
At a low level, your goals will be things like destroying public ATMs and security cameras. I know that sounds mundane, but if you can't win a fight against a vending machine, then you're not ready for what comes next. As a
Ooh, yeah.
scumbag, you have to feed your local zealot, and what he's hungry for is human flesh. So you and the fellas will organize raiding parties.
And this is why they want all that suspicious meat.
Kill a few people, drag them into the sewers, and feed them to your boss. By consuming the flesh, the zealot becomes more powerful, and eventually he can even promote you into to a zealot, which provides a massive HP buff. Some people will try to tell you this is a thinly veiled analogy for corporate America and the human cost of profit. Those are the people you want to kill first. After that, just toss the skeletons in
Isn't everything an analogy for capitalism after all?
this big ritual pit. Once we get 10 in there, it starts the Purge event, which will hopefully cause civil strife and produce even more bodies for us. Once you've got that momentum
I still say, if you can make that happen during a wartime event, that has got to be the scariest moment for everyone.
behind you and the police are busy slaughtering proles, I recommend crafting IEDs and bombing the city's neurostabilizers. These machines filter the rot out of Aneurism IV, and without them, things start to go to shit very fast.
Yep.
Destroy the stabilizers, kill the repairmen, and you're on a path to victory. However, I won't lie, no
Crazy thing is, you would think those little bulbous things actually did anything. They don't really do much. I'm actually kind of surprised, because when I played it, I don't know if what it is now, but they just didn't do anything. It was more of like a sign of how badly everything was getting ruined, and if you destroy one, you get like a little pot of cancer. But I would have loved to have seen something like come out of those, or some sort of NPC-ish attacking thing to make a real problem or something, make people really want those gone, other than the fact that the server could go down.
No one is really expecting you to succeed, and especially not the police. The ruling class, looking down on us from their ivory towers, has always and will always underestimate the ingenuity of the common man. For example, could the socialist superstructure have ever anticipated the
God, that is some scary thought about that kind of things hitting the streets.
invention of the baldo, a wearable
The what?
device that fashions your testicles into a phallus for penetrative purposes?
Why?
I think not. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our edge. Because when the Cortex raids our stockpile and confiscates all of our gun parts, they forget that we can make machine guns out of nothing more than fermented feces and the axle off a
Oh yeah, Jenkum. That stuff you can make in your toilet.
lawnmower. Now, even with our poop guns, it's going to be an uphill battle, which is why I recommend the Great Equalizer, heavy drugs. By taking methadone before a raid, I can absorb approximately 200% more police brutality before eventually bleeding out in a ventilation shaft. When you utilize these tips and tricks, you'll finally start winning. I could tell you about my most successful terrorist attack, but I'd rather tell you about my least successful. After several hours of grinding parts, me and the fellas finally created a rot bomb. This
Ooh, that's scary.
is the
Rot
largest
bombs are
explosive in the
dangerous.
game, and it can easily wipe out an entire server under the right conditions. So we waited until the wartime event triggered, because we knew everyone would be in one location, primed for the bombing. Sneaking up to the top side, we slipped through several alleys, no police in sight, and the factory is full. This is perfect. My teammate sets up the bomb and we arm it. It's motion activated, so once the proles
Ooh.
come flooding out of the factory,
Which they definitely will.
they'll trigger it and it'll kill everyone. Truly a masterstroke in terrorism. As we're making our escape, I see a prole arriving late to the factory.
Uh-oh.
He's running straight toward us. Dear God, no. He sprints directly into the motion-activated rot bomb, triggers it, and blows the three of us up in what must have been the least successful terrorist bombing of all time. Casualty breakdown. 66%
Ooh.
fire, 33% guy who wanted to die anyway. That was a tough pill to swallow. But what's the day-to-day like down here? Well, we all drink out of one giant puddle of bloody water.
Delicious.
And everyone is hopelessly addicted
Just like Mom used to make.
to chain-smoking cigarettes, as it's the only way to stave off our descent into insanity. Other than that, it's just a lot of cannibalism. Cannibalism? That sounds extreme. What about ration day, I hear you ask? Well, my naive little
I would imagine the scums don't do very well on ration day.
friend, let me tell you about ration day. Getting your rations as a member of the scum is totally possible. I would just expect about 50% casualties, because you have to assemble a team of 3 to 5 heavily armed serial killers, make a coordinated push to secure the canteen, destroy all surveillance cameras and witnesses as you move, and then survive at least one shootout with the cops. All that just for a little government issue slop. Eventually, through enough teamwork and dedication, you might be
I mean, if you can successfully raid a ration center, you might as well just take over the whole server at that point.
to make it to the late game as a scum, where you've effectively destroyed the police presence on your server and society begins to unravel. This is a fairly interesting
Begins to, it's always unraveling.
phase in the game, because you get to observe firsthand the wide range of human reactions as people realize the world is ending. It's kind of like being on a plane that's about to crash, except you're the one crashing. trashing it. In this footage, we had taken control of 90% of the city, with only 1 or 2 cops left to resist us. In response, every physician in town attempted to isolate themselves in this pit to avoid having to heal us. However, that also meant that they couldn't heal the other citizens, so the proles viewed this as the doctors abandoning them, and they formed an angry mob, jumped in the pit, and started killing each other. These are truly the final days of the Roman Empire. Final analysis. Scum is great. Wander around in the darkness, eat organs, balance your methadone addiction with a nicotine addiction, do terrorism, and then get blown up by your own bomb. The best class ever. Alright, that's it for this video. I hope all of that made sense to you, because if not, good luck sifting through 500 medical research papers when trying to Google anything about this game.
I would imagine.
Conclusion, Aneurism IV, terrible spelling, great game. The police presence is oppressive. For a title of this quality, it's remarkably cheap. So I look forward to seeing each and every one of you rubber banding across my server in the near future. Just remember, Big Brother is always watching.
Always watching.
Big Brother Cortex, I got stuck in the washing machine. Please
Oh, that's illegal now. Can't do that.
don't hit me with a pipe and steal my flesh.
Oh, dear Lord. So, yeah. That is Aneurism IV. Yeah, that is one heck of a game. Aneurism IV, it really is. Come on, go away. Reset everything there. Nice. Okay, well, one little tidbit I do know about Aneurism is that there's actually a karma system, which if you do enough bad stuff, you actually get cut off from being an officer, and eventually you can get cut off from a lot of everything, pretty much, and you're pretty much only forced to be the bad guys. So, eventually, the whole server could end up going down purely because everybody's doing something wrong. Even if you're not even doing that much wrong, you'll slowly just degrade everything out. But yeah, oh my god, yeah, Aneurism IV, it's a game. It's a nuts game. But yeah, thank you very much for watching that with me here. Reggie is always a fun guy to watch. And if you enjoyed it, please leave a like. If not, go ahead and do a dislike. And if you have anything you want me to react towards or anything you just want to comment on, please do leave a comment. And please do subscribe, help build up my community, and follow along for any of my Let's Plays and my reactions. I would thank you very much. Be sure to live life to the max.